Hi, we're Koda and Jackie, and together we went on a road trip to Greece in May of 2022. This is part 2 of our adventure that led us through Austria, Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro and Albania until we finally made it to the Greek border. Our first stop was a campground that my family and I would stay at every year during our annual camping trips to Greece. When I was a child, we would drive to Italy, take the ferry across to Greece, and then drive across the country for 3 to 4 weeks before heading back the way we came. This was my first time back at Camping Kalami in probably about 17 years, because at some point my parents decided to take the land route to Greece via Serbia, rather than catching the ferry. This meant that we no longer visited West Greece after that. We took a couple of days to rediscover the campground and soak up the childhood memories. As it was early in the year, there were only a few other campers there, and it felt like we had the place to ourselves most of the time. It was still really nice during the day, so we hung out at the beach for a while. This is also the place where my brother and I would always eat our favorite pasta dish, pasticcio. Unfortunately, because it was low season, they only had like 3 meals on the menu, and pasticcio wasn't one of them. Koda made sure to keep a safe distance in case other cool dogs would see and tease him for hanging out with his mum. So I had to sneak up on him all the time. Unfortunately, summer kept Greece waiting and it was still quite cold at night, which also meant that the water temperature was only about 15 degrees. Which is a bit too cold for my liking. Get it! The funny thing about Koda is that while he's such a fluffy dog who's always hot, he hates swimming. So as soon as the ball drifts out too far, he just won't go and get it, and I would have to get up and save the day. The only way of getting Koda to swim is when I go in the water myself and call him to me. As you can see, it's still a no from him. And look at his fluffy button tail just floating along. After a couple of days, we made our way to Koda, which is an island off the coast of West Greece. It is connected to the mainland by a road. Remember, Koda hates swimming, but whenever there's water around, he definitely has to walk through it and have a drink. Just another quick sip. He really is my little mountain goat. Koda also found a stick that he wanted to bring along, but it just wasn't cooperating. We then headed further south to a panorama lookout. And look at this view. The water in Greece really has its own very unique color. I've not seen water of such a shade of blue anywhere else in the world. And then we headed towards our final destination for the day, Porto Katsiki. What a spot to spend the night in, hey? One thing that I like to forget is that when you climb down the stairs, you generally also have to climb them back up. This has got to be one of my favorite pictures of Koda. Unfortunately, he doesn't enjoy being in front of the camera too much, so getting a good selfie is always a bit of a struggle. At first glance, this might look a little cramped, but really it was only about 10 campers, so we still had the spot pretty much to ourselves. And in the summer, this place would definitely be packed with tourists. The next day was Easter Sunday, and my parents had given me a little Easter nest, and also included something for Koda. We then went on to explore another beach. It was an interesting drive, to say the least. When we finally made it down the steep road to the beach, we got stuck because the car park was closed off and we had to do a 12-point turn in order to get back up the road. The color of the water will never cease to amaze me. And someone found a new stick. Like I said, our selfie game is really strong. And once we got back up on the road, we made our way to another beach. And then we headed into Lefkas, where we met up with a friend for some pita gyros and some ice cream. And this is where you would move when you're tired of humankind. We then left Lefkada and headed south across the bridge of Patras and onto the Peloponnese Peninsula. The weather was turning and the beach was nowhere near as nice as the previous ones. We went for a walk along the beach, where Koda of course found another stick and a cuttle bone, which Koda was super freaked out by. And here was another crazy find. And another ginormous stick that he then ran into me with. We finished our walk and went to bed early, as this was only a stop on the way to the ferry that we were going to catch the next morning to take us to the island of Zakynthos.